We're going to talk a little bit about what this means for our relationship with Saudi Arabia. Let's bring in from Shell Oil, or formerly Shell Oil, John Hofmeister. Of course, I'm sure John dealt with Saudi Arabia a lot, over the years in a business sense. So we can get into here, the why and what they're going after here. But, boy, even as Tracy says, freezing their accounts now is the latest in all of this. What do you think is the immediate fallout?
Well, let's be very practical about it. There's no room for an opposition in the kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Right.
It's not a kingdom like the UK where you have two parties. This is a kingdom with one party, and that is the royal family. And if you don't like it, you shut up or you get out of the way, one or the other. In this case, people did not get out of the way, so they were taken out of the way. And I think there will be more of that because the momentum that is building behind Mohammed bin Salman is huge. He's supported enormously by the millennial population, which is one of the largest groups from a demographic standpoint, one of the largest interest groups in the kingdom. They want to see change. They're tired of the traditional way of doing things. And so I think this is going to be very interesting to observe
over the
next few months.
From the point of view of Americans to watch this, because as you say, you have a 32-year-old crown prince, and there may be changes that are beneficial to the society there already. There's been big headlines about the fact that women are going to be allowed to drive, that type of thing. But it's not exactly the most democratic way to modernize, right? Rounding up these guys and throwing them in prison, albeit the Ritz-Carlton.
But there's nothing democratic about the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. That's my point.
Right.
So we shouldn't expect it. We have this wonderful democratic culture of our own, but if you go to the kingdom, it doesn't exist. Now, from a business standpoint, I'm not particularly worried because what the conference brought out in the last 2 weeks ago was just the tremendous investment that's going to take place in the kingdom, and it's all about business. Business under Saudi terms, however. Business has a huge opportunity to help remake the country into what it's going to become, and whether it's the oil and gas business and the IPO of Saudi Aramco, or whether it is the building out of the infrastructure and all the businesses associated with that, or the new sectors of the economy that they're working on, such as technology
and that's the key,
information management and so forth.
They have to kind of diversify, what they're doing here. I mean, it can't just be all oil all the time forever, and you get into new businesses, and that's, I guess, the goal once you get past the shock of these headlines, right?
The goal is to diversify, and that's very important. It's also to provide employment opportunities in fields different than have historically been the case, and not just the low-income menial tasks of service organizations and cleaning organizations, but really meaningful, conceptual, intelligent work that really puts to work the society and people who haven't had those kinds of enriching jobs.
It's interesting.
I think it's a brilliant move for the future. Yeah,
and you seem to be very positive, and many people are. I've read both sides of this, but, when we were looking at it over the weekend and the news first came out of all these arrests, I think we were wondering, hey, Monday morning, I wonder how the markets will do. The markets are flat, by the way. They're not doing anything. But your point is that long-term this is good for business, whereas maybe at first I would have looked at it and said, boy, it doesn't exactly make things more stable in the near term. Might be a little rocky. How does Iran respond? That kind of thing.
Well, if you've done business with the Saudis over the years, you know that they want what they want, and they're going to get what they want because they're in charge. The government is in charge. And so the notion that there's an opposition or people resisting Mohammed bin Salman, that's going to go away, or he's going to go away. And I don't think he has any inclination for himself to go away. He's the man, and he's in charge, given due respect to his father. And that's the way it's going to progress from here. So get used to it, I think, is the message I would send to a whole lot of people.
And don't think of these things always in American terms, right? That's sometimes the way we think of it immediately when we see something happen overseas. But they're different.
You're right. It's a different part of the world, and we just have to recognize we're not going to change them. They're going to be who they are, and we learn to work with them.
John Hofmeister, he thinks this is a positive. Of course, we'll see. The old time will tell cliche, but thank you, sir. It's always good to talk to you and get your insight on this. You know a lot about it.
Thank you.
All right.